Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the February meeting of the Pittsylvania County Planning Commission. The time is 7 o'clock. We'll get started. A roll call, please.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Waters?
Here.
Ms. Meese? Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Mr. Oakes?
Here.
Ms. Henderson?
Here.
Mr. Harker?
Here. Join me, if you will, for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Hearing of the citizens. Do we have anybody here tonight to speak to this board concerning a matter that is not on our agenda?
I do not believe anyone has signed
No one
up.
signed up. Approval of the agenda. Floor is open for a motion on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Webb. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Oakes. Ready to vote. Motion to approve the agenda passes. 6 yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Approval of the minutes. The floor is open for a motion on the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Motion by Mr. Oakes. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Second by Mr. Webb. Thank you. Please cast your vote. Minutes are approved. 6 yes, 1 absent. Chairman's report. I don't have anything new to report to you all tonight. Thank you for being here. We'll get right to our public hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Planning Commission, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications in support of said ordinance and to make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Zoning Appeals. In accomplishing this important task, we're charged with promoting the health, safety, general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all of our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pittsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. At 7:04, case R-24-002 is now open for public hearing. Mrs. Ragsdale.
Case R-24-002, New Testament Baptist Church has petitioned to rezone 0.344 acres located on State Road 740 Iris Lane in the Westover Election District from B1 Business District Limited to R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to allow the property to be consolidated with an adjacent parcel zoned R1. Once the property is rezoned to R1, all uses listed under Pennsylvania County Code Section 35-222 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Wayne Dishman is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Dishman, do you have anything you'd like to say to this board this evening?
Ladies, gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
Wayne. Back in early 2000, around 2003, I gave the New Testament Baptist Church about 2 1/3 acres of land to build a family life center on. which when I developed the Cross Creek subdivision, I built on lot number 1, which joins that property. And I asked them, since they're not using all of it, if I could get back 75 by 200 feet that joins lot number 1 where I live, and they're B1 and I'm R1, and I wanted to change that zoning to R1 and combine it with my property.
Gotcha.
And they said, okay.
Okay. Any questions from anybody on this board? All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is anyone here to speak for or against this case? All right, if not, 7:06, public hearing is closed. Mr. Webb.
Mr. Chairman, as it relates to case R-24-002, I make a motion that we recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors to rezone the .334 acres from B1 to R1.
Motion by Mr. Webb, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Waters. Ready to vote. Did yours come up? Did it go? Mine didn't come up. Oh, okay. Yeah. Motion passes 6 yes, 1 absent. At 7:07, case Z-24-001 is now open for public hearing. Mrs. Ragsdale.
Case Z-24-001, William and Judith Roberts and Capital Outdoor Signs have petitioned for a sign permit on 2.74 acres located on US Highway 29 South in the Bannister Election District for an off-site illuminated, single-sided stacked sign with 2 panels that will be 10 by 20 equaling 200 square feet in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code Section 35-100. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, a representative for Capital Outdoor Signs is here to represent the petition.
Please come forward. State your name for the record if you
Yes,
would,
sir.
sir.
My name's R.J. Lackey. I'm an attorney here in Danville, Pennsylvania County, and I'm representing Capital Outdoor, which is a family-owned business that's been in the billboard business since 1978. Pennsylvania County is its largest business in this area. It has billboards in Henry and other counties surrounding, but it concentrates in Pennsylvania County. And its mission, which I think is important for this board to understand, this commission to understand, is its mission is to provide affordable advertising to local people. So it doesn't look for national retailers and doesn't look for national advertisers. So your local businesses that can't afford TV buys and radio buys, they buy billboards. So we'd ask that you support this and support your local business, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Lackey? All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else here tonight to speak in favor or against this case? All right.
I don't think so.
All right. And at 7:09, public hearing is closed. Ms. Henderson.
Mr. Chairman, in the case of Z-24-001, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve this request.
Motion by Mrs. Henderson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Brown? Okay. Please cast your votes.
I vote yes.
Motion carries 6 yes, 1 absent. At 7:10, case Z-24-002 is now open for public hearing. Mrs. Ragsdale.
Case Z-24-002, William and Judith Rogers and Capital Outdoor Signs have petitioned for a sign permit on 34.18 acres located on US Highway 29 South in the Chatham Blair's election district for an off-site illuminated, single-sided stacked sign, which will have 2 panels that are 10 by 20, equaling 200 square feet each. In accordance with Pennsylvania County Code, Section 35-100. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet, and Mr. R.J. Lackey is here to represent this petition.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is the exact same spiel that I made 30 seconds ago.
Gotcha. All right. Was there any questions on this particular application? All right, thank you. No one signed up for this one either.
No.
All right. At 7:11, public hearing is closed. Mr. Waters this time.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. Yes, I've visited both of the sites that we're going to be discussing tonight for the signs and the Chatham Players. I see no issue that it won't be congested. Really no other signs in these 2 locations. So I make a motion on case Z-24-002 that we approve the application and forward to the Board of Zoning Appeals for approval.
All right. Motion by Mr. Waters. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Henderson. Please cast your vote. I vote yes. Mine hasn't come up yet.
Yes.
Motion carries 6 yes, 1 absent. At 7:13, case Z-24-003 is now open for public hearing.
Case Z-24-003, William and Judith Rogers and Capital Outdoor Signs have petitioned for a special use for a sign permit. I'm going to get that right one of these times. Sign permit on 25.21 acres located on US Highway 29 North in the Bannister election district for an off-site illuminated double-sided stacked sign with 4 panels, which will be 10 by 20. So 200 square feet per panel, in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code, Section 35-100. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, R.J. Lackey is here to represent the
Yes,
petition.
sir. You might come up for this one, Mr. Lackey. I think there
Yes,
were
sir.
questions.
Thank you. One thing that before the commission asked questions that I should take, Mr. Rogers and Capital Outdoor have discussed it. We understand there was some concern about maybe sign congestion. This sign can be moved about 200 feet. I think feet was 200 yards. Okay. Down, and we're willing to do that, voluntarily, and work with Emily and Ms. Ragsdale and go ahead and move it to try to alleviate any concerns there may be with regard to sign congestion.
All right. Ms. Henderson, do you have any questions? Anyone else on the board?
I got a,
Yep,
Mr.
there.
Chairman, I got a question. Now,
Yes.
this is a sign located going up in the northbound lane on US 29, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Going up. So what was the issue that is,
So you would have this sign, the one on Lester's property,
okay,
right there back to back. And then there's a smaller billboard on the other side of Carter Lodge Road. So you would have a lot of signage right there in a pretty small area, and a curve could lead to distracted driving. You've got sign clutter issues to look at. So that was staff's concern.
well, I'm thinking about it, if you went up the mountain and built a business all the way up that mountain, if you had a Hardee's and a McDonald's and a Bojangles and everybody would have their own sign. So you would have a sign for every business going up the mountain. So why would this sign become a clutter?
They'd be much smaller in size.
Yeah, but this sign is what, 200 square feet?
No, you've got four 200-square-foot panels, so two 200-square-foot panels on each side.
Right. But still, I mean, it's no houses or nothing else there, so why, I'm trying to get in my mind, I know the area real well. How would it become cluttered? Especially if you often back it down 200 more feet.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
We don't think that it does create the issues, but clearly Ms. Ragsdale does.
I can't
And we-
see it either. I'm trying to figure this out.
And we're
because-
trying to address it
Yeah.
and work with the county and move it to the extent we can. We're glad to do so.
Right.
Let me ask this,
Yes.
does the proffer that you're offering, does that change the staff's perspective?
If it could be moved further away from those additional signs, staff would feel much more comfortable with the approval of this request.
I mean, let me ask this question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Is there any limit on how close your signs can be together? Do we have anything in the ordinance that says how many feet?
Not currently in the ordinance.
Okay.
Hang on one second, sir.
He's also an applicant. He's with
Okay,
Capital Outdoor
come up to the
Signs.
mic if you don't mind, state
Yeah.
your name for the record, please.
I did want to clarify, we meet the VDOT and federal guidelines of spacing.
And what was your name, sir?
Robert Sykes with Capital Outdoor. So we do meet the qualified
Okay.
distance between billboards
Well, that's what mainly my
for
question
the
was.
federal government and the state of Virginia.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Was we within them limits? So I didn't know if we had a limit.
Any other questions?
Just a clarification. So you're much more comfortable with the sign being moved the 200 feet? That alleviates some of your concerns?
Yes, staff would be more comfortable visually and safety-wise if there was
Okay.
more distance between them.
I mean, if there was an issue, the liability is not on the county anyway, correct? I mean, it's approved by the VDOT. It would not fall back on the county.
That's correct, and we have sovereign immunity, so unless we are grossly negligent. we
Right,
would be.
okay, I'm just asking the question. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Any other discussion?
I do have a question. In light of the concerns, so will this require an official proffer to allow this to go forward if it's recommended for approval? Or do we have to
So
vote on it
it's-
as it's presented?
I mean, you would need to bake it into the approval as more of a condition than a proffer. And I think you would probably need to set maybe a number of feet that it needs to be away from that northernmost property line. That, you all would be comfortable with if you choose approval.
How far is it from the property line now?
It's 260 feet.
Half a mile, he said? Mr. Rogers, the property owner, said it was approximately half a mile from the property line?
It's 260 feet is the proposed location from that property line. And then the other billboard is right there on the other side of the property line.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. For clarification, he was talking about south, not north. But we'll move it, so instead of
He
being
does.
260,
He has a lot of road frontage
Yeah.
on that property along 29, so he has plenty of room to move it
Okay,
south.
So instead of 260 feet, we're talking about 460 feet?
yes,
It
sir.
could be.
Well, if that's, you would need to put that in your motion, Coletta. Okay.
And one other quick question, because I know this actually came up a couple of weeks ago as far as, there was a case that was presented that there were some changes made on the floor. And from what I recall, it had to either collapse the application, go back to the table, add the conditions, and come back? Is that required in this case?
No, so all you would need to do is make a motion, and you could make a motion to approve, and then you would just, in your motion, state that the sign be moved a minimum, or be a minimum of so many feet off of that northern property line,
Okay. All right, and are we all?
if that's what you're looking to do.
Okay. If I can just kind of make an unofficial question
And
to the
they're,
board.
they're making it less burdensome on the
Good.
citizens, and so you would not have to re-advertise or
Okay, good.
redo this. If you were to try to
Good.
encroach more than what was advertised, you probably, they would have to re-advertise this in case citizens had issues, but they're making it less burdensome on the county and the citizenry. So
Okay.
just amend your motion, and what's the number we want here, Emily? At least 460 feet?
I would say 400.
400 feet?
Okay. All right.
Any other questions for any of these
Just,
applicants?
and you
while
guys
they're-
are okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yes, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lackey. 7:21, public hearing is closed. Ms. Henderson.
Mr. Chairman, in the case of Z-24-003, I'd like to make a recommendation to the BZA or Board of Zoning Appeals that we do recommend with conditions this sign permit as requested, and those conditions being amended of 400 feet off the north side of the proposed site.
Motion by Ms. Henderson, is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Mr. Webb. Please cast your votes. Motion carries, 6 yes, 1 absent. 7:22, case Z-24-004 is now open for public hearing.
Case Z-24-004, William and Judith Rogers and Capital Outdoor Signs have petitioned for a sign permit on 23.79 acres located on U.S. Highway 29 South in the Chatham Blair's election district for an off-site illuminated, double-sided stacked sign with a total of four panels that are 10 by 20 equaling 200 square feet each, in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code, Section 35-100. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, R.J. Lackey is here to represent the petition.
Thank
Hello
you.
again,
I'm just
Mr.
here to
Lackey.
answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lackey on this one?
I have none.
Nope. All right, thank you, Mr. Lackey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else? 7:23, public hearing is closed. Mr. Waters.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as stated earlier, I'm familiar with this location and in the Chatham Blair's district. I don't see where there'll be any congestion whatsoever, so I make a motion to approve case Z-24-004 as presented and to submit to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you, Mr. Waters. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Oaks. Motion carries, 6 yes, 1 absent. Old business,
We do not have any old business.
new business.
So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Jen Gregory. She is going to be your new clerk. So she is currently training and familiarizing herself with all of our many processes. So, feel free to reach out to me still if you have any questions, but you can also start reaching out to Jen. She will start sending out your packets and things like that in the future.
Welcome, Jen. Yeah, You'll find that we're pretty agreeable most of the time. We're all right. Any other new business?
Additionally, we will have one case for next month. It will be a special use permit application for a residential addiction treatment facility on W.I. Powell Road.
And whose district is that?
Chatham Blairs?
I think so.
Okay.
You'll probably be getting some calls on that.
Okay.
We already have.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
No, sir.
All right, it's 7:26. We stand adjourned.